How did I get into photography? I thought war photography was really interesting, but I was kind of too chicken shit to, I mean, not that I would really, when I thought about it, but there's something about those images that are quite powerful, and I think rock and roll, I guess, had that kind of similar in the trenches kind of thing. I don't know if there was actually like a moment when it was decided one way or the other. It was kind of, maybe it was a kind of organic kind of thing. My folks were kind of like bohemian hippie types, and I think there was always like a conscious kind of thing in the household. I guess I was lucky because my parents used to take me to Truffaut films and, turn me on to that stuff before I even knew what it was. My mom took me to see Jules and Jim, and she told me it was a cowboy movie, just to get me in there, where are the cowboys, And so maybe that's the black and white French thing soaked in, and when I saw Don't Look Back and the grain of that, it was kind of love, and then Robert Frank, and then, and then also Penny Smith. The pizza and soul food trip, which was Hollis Avenue, which I always loved these pictures because the kids look so original. It's before the Gap and all the chain store, they're not wearing any gold. Everyone has a kind of personal kind of style that doesn't look as generic. It's funny because on the roll, you'll see people like the same kid in like 5 different setups, and there'll be the same kid, or there's this kid Teddy No Neck who's kind of funny, who's in this great picture of Run DMC. This was when they were filming Crush Groove, the movie. He was kind of just this Hollis kid who literally, I guess he was deformed. He was like, had no neck. And I guess everyone loved him because he was kind of fucked up, but he was really funny, and he was like, hey, I'm Teddy No Neck, and he was just this character. This was the Belfast. That's Belfast '83. I think it was like, and a year or two later I was there with BAD, and we brought Schoolie and Code Money, and we just took a walk down the street. It was weird for them. I think it was their first time in England, and the response was throwing sneakers and wine bottles, and I remember those guys, kind of going, yo, Josh, that was a wine bottle they threw at my head, because I just don't think they'd ever seen anything like, there was a guy with turntables, and then here's a kind of beefy guy with his shirt off and muscles and a Kangol, rapping to basically what was a bunch of Clash fans. That was probably one of the first times rap hit Glasgow. In 1981, the Clash were recording Electric Ladyland on 8th Street, and it was really a case of calling the studio and talking to Cosmo Vinyl, who was their man, and saying, hey, I want to come and take photographs of the band. And he said, okay. I walked in the studio and I was handed a Polaroid, because they used to take, before the computer consoles, they used to take a picture of the recording desk with a Polaroid to see where the faders were. And so that was, all of a sudden, that was a tool to like fuck around and take pictures in the studio. So I think, you were kind of in the same way, Don Letts, who's, a kind of compatriot and also like an influence on me, was always like, well, I just picked up the camera, and I think he picked up a movie camera, and I just happened to pick up a still camera. Now everything seems to be stratified into these genres of rock, hip-hop, but back then it seemed like everything was a bit more mixed. This was probably pictures of the Rocksteady crew like dancing to Simple Minds or Gary Newman or something at the time. There was the hip-hoppers, there was the reggae scene, there was us white kids trying to figure out where we fit in. And I think, we were trying to get our hands dirty, and not in a kind of a collectory kind of way, you know, not in a kind of, oh, hey, look at these people, they're so, you know, they've got such great rhythm or something. You know, I think we really wanted to be a part of it, you know, in an honest way.